Looks like some of that smoke that the ranger station in Ray Lakes was warning about has blown in. So with the crown I lost last night, I am officially in contingency mode here. I was able to get a hold of Jen. It is hard to get a satellite signal in and out of here. Unfortunately, I seem to have like compounding issues here. The satellite messaging on the iPhone, I've never quite trusted. Here I was trying to use it and it hasn't been going through for the last couple of days as near as I can tell. I finally got one message from Jen, but it looks like she hasn't gotten any of my notes over the last couple of days. Now, I'm inherently cautious. I've been through enough out here where I carry one of these. This is the InReach Mini. Generally, it syncs up with your phone and you use the Garmin Messenger app to send messages, so you can use a keyboard, at least with the Mini too. Turns out there's an issue with that. I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't seen this particular issue before, but the device tab has a little alert and it doesn't seem to be synchronizing any of the messages. So you can actually type on this by basically doing a bunch of up and down and selecting one letter at a time, and that is what I had to do last night. So obviously communication is a little limited. Also, while this isn't the worst possible place for something like this to happen, this is pretty bad. If it had happened yesterday, I could have gone over Kearsarge. That would have been easy. If it had happened another day that way, I would have Sawmill or Taboose I could drop down pretty easy. Unfortunately, it looks like I do need to get out to get this taken care of sooner rather than later. And the only available bailout is something called Baxter Pass. Baxter Pass is what we call one of the abandoned passes, aka there is an old trail there, but it is no longer maintained. I have been up and down it a couple of times doing peaks. There's some cool climbs back there, and it is not something I ever wanted to do again. Last time Jen and I came out of there, we were covered in stinging nettles and you're climbing over logs and everything, but it looks like that's going to be the better choice rather than backtracking and having to go over Glen or spending another day going that way. So I'm going to have a 12-ish mile bailout through hell. I have to climb over a pass and then descend through hell, more accurately. And then it looks like, again, Jen and I have very limited communication here, that she is going to take the day off school, drive up, pick me up at Baxter Pass, and we're going to try and get the tooth taken care of. She did indicate that she was still going to hopefully do the trip this weekend, and get me back out here. So my guess, limited communication, is she's going to pick me up and we're going to go into Mammoth or something and try and get the crown repaired, and then either I hike into Taboose with her or get dropped off at one of the other passes or something like that. But either way, this sucks. Things were going so well, and I was kind of both looking forward to an on-trail zero for once, and Arrow Peak is a grudge peak because every time I try and come back here and do that peak, something like this happens. Well, something happens. I got HAPE once. Jen and I are very fortunate to have found each other. We are generally very compatible on priorities and what we want to do, but we do have a habit sometimes to jump in opposite directions when it comes to dealing with a crisis. So we'll see how this goes. So that note from the ranger yesterday said that there was a fire at Taboose Creek. It's a campground on the east side, so it must be a fair size if that much smoke is coming in. The other one was in Cedar Grove, so it looks like I'm gonna be getting it from both sides. Okay, last night I had my period of being just highly frustrated, distraught, etc. at another issue like this, but it is what it is. So that is Baxter Pass. I've got to backtrack a ways to get to the trail, to get up to the pass. The far side, in my experience, is the bad part with the stinging nettles and the brush and all the fun stuff I'm going to have to go through. I'm going that way because while it is going to suck pretty mightily, I think it's going to be faster than backtracking over Glen and going out Kearsarge. If Jen wasn't apparently coming out to grab me and help me get this resolved, I would be going out Kearsarge because that would be my best bet for hitchhiking into Bishop or Mammoth and trying to find a dentist that could see me on short notice. Since I had to spell out every single letter on the inReach because of some issue with the Messenger app, Jen and I have not been in like full communication, so I don't know all the ins and outs of why she's deciding to do what she's doing, but I am going to have faith that she has access to more information than me, has been able to check things, and we're going to go with her plan. But at this point, I'm very much in is what it is, do what I have to do mode. At least the wind seems to be clearing the smoke out a bit. Keep running into people I outpaced over the pass yesterday. Sadly, none of them had been the Norm and Clyde of mountain dentistry and just like pulled out a kit and gone, oh, here, let me fix that for you. For my bloody sins. Welcome to the Baxter Lakes Trail, somewhere around here. Okay, I think those ducks were a lie. I have a line on the map that worked down below, so I'm trying to reacquire it. Okay, that's better. At least for the moment. Oh, hello. Gross. Sorry, guys. I was camped pretty far down there. Saw 3 guys headed down, coming from this direction. Surprised me. Wasn't expecting to see anybody up here. The sections where I'm on a trail like this aren't too bad, but keep losing it, having to bushwhack around. Damn it, this is taking way too long. And this isn't even the bad part. The bad part's once I cross over. Okay, far side of the lake. Pass is up there somewhere. Okay. One more hill, I think. And then the hard part. was a long climb. I was way down there. Well, hell, there is cell here at the top of Baxter Pass, but unfortunately it looks like the situation is more complicated than I had hoped. Okay. Turns out Jenna's in Lone Pine. She said she may have overreacted a bit. She was worried about infection, hence having me rush out, taking the day off school. But she actually has to be back at school tomorrow, so we have to drive back down to Orange County today. As a teacher, if you miss 2 days tied with a holiday weekend, you get flagged. You're not allowed to take off extra days. So much for my dreams of getting this fixed in the Eastern Sierra and going back up in a couple of days. We got a couple of options. I don't like any of them. At the moment, I am exhausted, cold, and I've got a crappy hike out. So I guess that's what Jen and I get to talk about on the way home. Also, turns out the issue I had with the inReach is the damn Messenger app has to synchronize over the internet. So I must not have used it since I replaced my phone at the end of last year. Doesn't synchronize with the device or anything else. It's like the Garmin Fenix software. It has to talk to the internet. So things started coming through once I actually had internet and checked. Also, that is Diamond Peak. I think that climb I led actually went up that chute. I remember it was pretty gnarly. Whoa. This pass is such a pain. So I was able to get a hold of Blondie, and apparently I have an appointment to fix the tooth in 13 hours or so. So we just have to drive back
And I'm glad that she was able to, because I hate this freaking canyon. And the option of getting back out here for that last week is the only thing that made it worth doing. So that's the plan. We're going to drive home tonight late because it took me forever to get over here. And then I guess I will just go up with the Taboose Pass group that was coming from the cars rather than getting a day off and meeting them in the backcountry. And if I can manage that, do the peak. Otherwise, just start hiking again, I guess. This whole thing is just a bummer. Stuff happens, but that day over Forester and looking over the back of Shepherd's made me feel more like my old self than any of the other stuff I've done. I'm really sad to leave that back there.